You're overthinking your content. I'm about to help you make your content like easy. This is what you got to do to prepare for it. And so she's like, all you need is a pair of these. And she put up some hoops. Now she said gold hoops, but my gold hoops are somewhere else. But I thought that it was so funny because once she put them on, I'm about to put them on. Once she put the hoops on, it was like instant elevation. And have y'all ever had that feeling where it was like you felt really plain and you felt like you wasn't doing anything, and then all of a sudden you put on a pair of earrings and it's like now you're doing something with your life? Look, it's like instant elevation. Instant elevation. Like I already look like I came, like I clocked in. I thought it was so funny. Oh, then I got to put on chapstick because my lips are super dry. Like they're super dry. And one thing I don't like doing is like licking them in between because it is really distracting to me. Like I'll be looking at myself when I should be talking and then trying to lick my lips. So yeah. Now look at that. I don't look ashy no more. I don't look dry and crusty. I got some earrings on. Like it just looks like now I'm doing something with my life. And then she was like, that's all you need. And then just record the content. And I was like, wow, the hero that we need. Cause noticed, but I don't be coming online with makeup. It's like very seldom that I wear makeup. Like if I could honestly count it, it's maybe twice a month. Then that's a lot. Like if I do it twice a month, that's crazy. My eyebrows ain't done. Who knows when they're gonna get done? I be putting on lip gloss and earrings and then just be calling it a day as a whole fashion influencer. I just don't be feeling like it sometimes, you know? Even like my everyday routine, I don't have enough time to be like, let me get myself together before I go and press record. It's just too much work. It's way too much work. I have things that I will, if I have the time to, I'll do it. But yeah, I thought that that was interesting. I really appreciated that video. And what I liked about it is that it just made it so, I feel like it just like relieved some of the pressure to perform, to show up perfectly, to look like someone who is just like curated themselves to have this perfect image. Like it is a lot to keep up with. And when I think about people who are influencers, a lot of influencers are women. A lot of influencers are women. And I would venture to believe that women, there are more female influencers than there are male influencers. Like when it comes to the influencer space, we kind of dominate it. And so, and it's because of the way that it has opened up so many doors for women to be entrepreneurs within their own homes. Like we can monetize the things that we use on a daily basis. We can talk about our family and share our story and be able to relate to other women, and that helps us to build a business as starting off as influencers or business as an influencer. And so I think that it's so dope, but there are also a lot of barriers that can come with that, and a lot of things that would cause us to just feel insecure and inadequate when it comes to how we show up online. So I think that it's really timely. It's really timely that we talk about this. And I want to go into, you know, what's been going on, because I feel like we haven't really had like a chit chat in a while. So last week we did not have a live at all. And that is because I was doing a documentary interview. So I was interviewed for this documentary about style, and it was such an incredible experience. I always wanted to be in entertainment. I don't know if y'all could tell, but I've always wanted to be in entertainment, and I really like the idea of it being like in a reality based setting. So non-scripted content, or lightly scripted, not necessarily being an actor, but being able to present real life on screen. So it was really good, but it took up all of my day from like 9 a.m. till almost like 7 o'clock at night. I was out. So it was a dope experience. But of course, by the time I came home, I was like, I'm peopled out. I don't have no more left in me. So I didn't have it last week. And then this past Monday, I had a live with James Taylor, who we go live every Monday, most Mondays. Let me not say every, but most Mondays we go live on TikTok at 10 p.m. And so our topics range from business, branding, relationships. It all kind of like is in that area. Topics like emotional intelligence, dating, marriage, building a business, showing up online is kind of all in the space that we are strong in. So this past Monday, there was an interview. I was interviewed for the podcast, for the live. And so the topics were on dating. And I always tend to shy away from the topic of dating and relationships online. I'm interested in the idea of discussing healthy relationships, and not just romantic ones, but just in general, having healthy relationships with people, being able to build, maintain, collaborate, all of that good stuff, right? But I don't enjoy speaking about it online, in front of a group of people. And a big part of that is because there are a lot of topics that are very, very sensitive to me, like very sensitive. And so we got on and we were talking about a range of things, like what are some mistakes that I made with dating, and what are some of the things that I regret that I've done in relationships. What are the things that I look for in a partner? And there were certain questions where if you were there and you saw my face, you already knew, like, Jada's over it. She's over it. Like, she's not enjoying answering these questions. And I found myself being in this space of wanting to challenge myself to speak about things, especially because it is a topic that there was interest in it. Like, people wanted to hear what I had to say about it, which was like, whoa, why? Why do you want to hear what I have to say? I feel like there's enough people talking about it. So that was like a big one. But then another part of it was that there's this fear that I have, or like this discomfort that I have with talking about topics that I don't feel like I've had a chance to really process through. And so when it comes to relationships overall, I definitely have done a lot of work, healing from a lot of the choices that I made. But there are also things that that like some unspoken like feelings of resentment, and just like feeling misunderstood and feeling like I haven't been heard, and being very frustrated because in those instances where I have to talk to someone and they're asking me questions that like poke at those feelings, those insecurities, and like those triggers that I have, I'll start to feel defensive, like, oh no, like you're coming for me now, like you're trying to embarrass me, or you're trying to tell me that this is who I am. You're trying to come for me. Like, that's how it feels. Like you're now like you want to fight. That's how I feel. Like, just if you want to fight me, just say that. That's how I feel about it. And so I hate being in spaces like that publicly because it makes me feel so out of control. Like it makes me feel exposed. Like you found something in me that is that I can't present to you perfectly. Like I can't give this to you in a curated way. It was hard. It was hard. It was very, very hard. And there came a time towards the end, I want to say maybe like the last 30 to 40 minutes of the conversation, which it lasted like 2 hours. So by that point, I was kind of like talked out. But it shifted towards the conversation on modesty and the types of clothes that women wear. Like, women should not wear this ever in life, period. You don't hear me make statements like that. I just don't. I just don't. Whether I have an opinion about what you wear, that's my opinion. And I don't project that onto people. And I especially don't like to do it when it comes to telling people what particular things they should or should not wear, because I, again, feel like that comes down to preference. That comes down to a lot of things. And for a lot of women, the way that they dress is tied to themselves. It's tied to who they are. So there is a reason behind why they wear what they wear. And I feel like the attire is criticized, but the person is never, like, their humanity doesn't tend to be acknowledged. Like their why, their reason for it doesn't tend to be acknowledged at all. And so it is very frustrating because it does not feel like a helpful conversation. It feels like a hot topic. Yeah, like divisive and polarizing. And so you could see people starting to like pick a side. Women shouldn't wear this. If they're doing this and they want attention, there's no reason why you should put this on unless you're just trying to get this type of guy to comment on you, or this is how a modest woman or respectable woman presents herself. And it's just like, whoa, these are humans that we're talking about. These are human beings, and being able to articulate that is very difficult when I'm in a place where I'm almost like in defense mode. Because for me, it like triggers that in me. Like, I'm like, whoa, no, hold up. You're not going to talk about women like that. You're not going to do that. And this is coming on the tail end of having a conversation that I was already struggling with, because there were points where it felt like an interrogation. So it's just like, okay, look, I don't want this to turn into something where it felt like it was like bashing women or putting them down. And I know logically that is not the heart of Mr. James or of the people who are in the comment section. Their heart is to protect. They want these women to be protected. However, the intention, it doesn't work when it feels like the person is being attacked, or when it feels like the way that you're doing it is controlling, or it feels condemning, right? And so I find myself just having a really, really, really hard time voicing it, because I think that these are important topics to talk about. However, the way that it's been presented, it just feels very, like I said, it just feels very judgmental. And so I was battling with that because I could feel those feelings coming up. And so there are times where it feels like, well, am I just being too sensitive? Or am I being easily offended, rather? Am I being easily offended? Am I not seeing this person's perspective? Am I not taking a strong enough stance? Or am I people pleasing? Am I people pleasing and I'm just afraid of confrontation? But I maybe want to voice how I feel more firmly, and this is me like having the opportunity to do that, and I'm not doing it. Like, a lot of things going through my head, and so it's so challenging to discuss those things without having had time to process it first, or just have time to prepare, or honestly having had gone through some level of healing so that when those things come up, I can recognize how to navigate those conversations where normally I would just dismiss myself from them. Like if I wasn't up on stage, I would have left. I would have left. I wouldn't have sat there for it. I would have gone. I would have been out. Like, you gonna talk to me like that? And that's honestly, I didn't feel like it was being directed at me, but I did at the same time. It's so weird. It's so weird. So I want to ask y'all, do you feel like you have certain topics or certain things that you feel uncomfortable talking about online because of what the response might be? Like, let's start there. Have you ever had a thought come up or something that you want to share or something that you are passionate about sharing, but the idea of putting it out there and meeting resistance, like, worries you? Yes. Cardi said yes. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something that is like a big like hot topic or anything like that, but maybe it's just something that you feel like people may feel a way about it. Like it might rub some people the wrong way, or it might bring up something that is not the same views as like the rest of the world. India said for me, probably marriage advice. Ooh, that's an interesting one. That's an interesting one. And you've been married for a while. That's very interesting. I had a few topics that I would just tend to shy away from. One of the biggest ones was my faith. Like if you talked to me, you knew that I was a believer. You knew that I love Jesus. Like you knew that from having a personal relationship with me. Yeah. Oh, Cardi said the very thing I'm trying to shine light on, and that's weight loss and everything that comes with it. Yeah. I felt like, yeah, my faith. And it was particularly because I knew that the way that it intertwined with what I do is I knew it would be a challenge for some people. Like certain things that I would say would be like, now wait a minute. I feel like you're in my business now. And I know y'all probably heard me say that before, like I'm in your business. That's because God be telling me. And then I share it. And so I know that there are certain topics that when I share them, it might be some backlash. Like it might be some people that'll be like, you don't know what you're talking about. That's crazy. You're not qualified to say that. All these different things, right? And so and even if I don't necessarily say Jesus, 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 Jesus in there, right? But what I'm saying is inspired by the Holy Spirit. Like there was this post that I put up on TikTok, and it was like one of my first videos to like really go viral. And so in the video, I was talking about how people shouldn't have the same style that they had in high school, that their style should be evolving. And so I knew that this was inspired by the Holy Spirit because I had no plans on talking about that topic at all whatsoever. Like it was not in the plans at all. But I had it just like came to me. And so I was like, okay. So I recorded the video, 15-second video, like max. The speed at which I was talking, it was a very quick video, but the things that people got from it and the way that they responded to it was incredible. Like it was so interesting how many people came on there, and some people were like, yes, this makes sense. I get it. But an overwhelming amount of people were like, what are you talking about? I have the same style, emo for life. Like it went crazy. And so I was like, wow, how did they get that from a 15-second video? Like, where did you get all of this extra context from? I'm over here like looking under stuff. I'm like, where did you get that point from? Like, how did you get that from what I said? But it was one of those things where it was like, it was really, really like triggering. And so I had always wanted to, I wanted to be able to reach a lot of people, but I wanted to be in control of how I reached them. And I just felt like that wasn't it. Like, I just want everybody to be nice to me all the time and never say anything that I don't like. But that's just not the reality of it. And so I remember that being a moment where even then I was like, nah, I don't know if I want to keep doing this now. If I keep talking about stuff that is controversial, and I mean controversial by accident, because I had no idea that was going to be controversial. I kind of felt like it was like, I don't know, like common sense. I was like, yeah, I mean, you should be evolving after 10 years. Like, that's just weird to me to think that you don't. Like, literally, you physically evolve. So why wouldn't anything else change, right? Like, that's my thinking. But it hit people in different ways. And so it just had me thinking, like, it had me it brought back those feelings of like, man, I don't want to have that kind of reaction, and I don't want people to disagree with me, and I don't want to say things that are controversial, or things that I don't want to be in situations where I feel so emotional and out of control that it just like reminds me of those feelings, right? And now, given I was able to voice during the live that I didn't think that it was a good idea to continue on this topic, and I let them know that I'm feeling a way about this, and we're gonna have to stop talking about this. Like, like I was able to say that. I just was very frustrated by the fact that it even got to that point. Like I wanted to always just be able to present this like cool, calm, collected person, and just kind of have control over how vulnerable I was. And so I think that all in all, it was good to be able to let people see like my humanity, and to be able to see me still operate with like grace and poise, even though what I really wanted to do was be mean. I didn't feel like being nice. I wanted to come for everybody because I felt like I felt like I needed to fight. But I think that it was definitely a good experience in that way. I don't want to do it again tomorrow or nothing like that. But it just had me thinking about this topic. It brought back those feelings again. And I got so used to like saying what I needed to say that I think that I forgot how hard it is when you're starting out your journey as a creator, when you're starting your journey as an influencer, or just as an influential person, whatever you call yourself. When you're getting started as a trendsetter, let's just use that. And when you're getting started as a trendsetter, when you're early on in that, you're going to have to take a stance on things. You're going to have to be able to be bold, and to be able to present like the truth. I want to say I don't want to say your truth. I mean, yes, but just present what you are supposed to. Like, be bold in who you are. And so for me, that was me being bold in who I am. I'm not going to be extreme on one side or the other when it comes to this topic, because that's just not the kind of person that I am. I have to operate in grace on a topic like this because I know that that's what people need. So I'm just not going to. And if that bothers you, that's just going to have to bother you. But I have to be firm in, this is how I see it. And this is what I know helps people. Coming from me, this is Jada. Okay. So I thought about that. That's one point to it, right? But the other part is that there are times where you don't need to talk about it. And that's okay too. Like, there are times where maybe you need to process this just a little bit more. Maybe you need to journal and write down the thoughts, the feelings that you have, and with maybe hearing the conversation or seeing a content or seeing a live where something that they said triggered you. That might be something interesting to explore so that when you are in a place where you can discuss it, you do that, right? And you have the proper boundaries in place to know that I can talk about certain things, and there are other topics that I can't talk about right now. That's just not where I am, or I can only talk about this to a certain level or a certain degree. And that does not take away from my transparency or my vulnerability. That's just wisdom. I don't have to do all of that. And so I think that it's really important as trendsetters for us to be aware of what's going on in our hearts. What things are we thinking? What are we telling ourselves? And are we presenting to people? And is what we presenting our best? Like, is this the best that I can give you right now? I'm not saying perfect. I'm not saying that every execution is going to be flawless, but am I presenting this to the best of my abilities at this moment? Can I handle this topic right now? Can I handle the questions that people might have, or the concerns or the rebuttals? Are these things that I can confidently take on, because that's all things that are worth considering. Now, I do believe that a lot of times, especially if it's something that you feel strongly about, that there will come a time where you need to share it. And during that period of waiting, you should be working on it, working through it, whatever that looks like, whatever resources or support you need to work through those things. Use them so that when the time comes, you're better equipped to discuss those topics. And so I even think about when people do like their PR tours, like let's say a celebrity has a book coming out. So they're doing all of these interviews with different talk shows and radios and podcasts. And when they go on these shows, they have a list of topics that they do not discuss. And the host of that show is supposed to honor that. And if they don't honor it, then that reputation is going to continue on, and that's going to determine whether people even want to be on their show, right? Like, the common courtesy is, if someone is telling me they don't want to discuss this topic, we don't discuss this topic. It's literally been the formula in media for decades, right? And so we can have our own list of things and topics that we are not prepared to discuss at this moment. We're not here yet. I cannot handle that responsibility, because once you share it, it is a responsibility, right? I can't handle these things right now. This, and this, I'm working on that. But I can talk about this, and this topic. I can go here for right now. And if the topic comes up, or if the question comes up, you feel comfortable letting that person know, I don't really have much to say on that right now. Or I can't really add value on that topic. Or maybe we have to come back to that. Or you can refer them to somebody who maybe talks about it already. That's a good resource. That we have so many options to divert and not take it on. And so practicing that and being able to recognize what those are, I think is going to be super important. And I want to encourage you that if thinking about that and if you think about that and it feels like maybe you're being fake, or you're being withholding, or you're not being real with people because I don't share everything about my life, I want you to think about all of the people who get online and they just spew hate and brokenness, and their content is just divisive and mean, and you can see it. Like, it's just like whatever they're doing is just vomiting over everybody. That's how their content feels to me. Like, it's just like, bleh. Like, I'm just going to just dump everything that I'm going through onto you. Like somebody's literally just like, think about somebody just coming and just throwing up in your lap. Or better yet, projectile vomiting. I'm going to stick with the vomit metaphor because that's just how disgusting it is to me. Like you're just spewing it onto people and you're just making the entire feed, the timeline, you're just making the internet just filthy and gross. Think about all the people that are doing that because they are not using these same steps and processing and going through what they're going through and actually understanding like why is this happening? You know what, let me heal. Cause I'm bitter. I'm mad. I have some resentment. Like actually I hate women. Maybe I should stop talking about them. Think about all the people that are not doing that. Like that conversation's not happening in their head at all. You are doing everyone a huge service by just allowing yourself to process it and be at a place where you can discuss it in a healthy way. And also be encouraged that you are in a space right now in our community where you have accountability. You can talk about the stuff that you want to say to people online in the community. You can put it in Discord right now. You're like, you know what? So-and-so, whatever comment that was, they were sneak dissing, and I ain't like that. You can put it in Discord. You don't even got to use names, but you can let it out. We can be honest there so that when we do present what we have online, we're giving our best to people. And those are just a few things that I feel like we don't have online. There's not enough people doing that. It's not enough people doing the work. It's not enough people healing. It's not enough people being honest about what topics they can handle and which ones they can't. So that's what I got, y'all. That's what I got. So all in all, it worked out, y'all. I am really grateful for y'all sitting with me through this topic because it was actually really challenging for me to talk about. I was feeling a lot of things, and I even had to, I had to write it down myself. Like I had to journal about it before I pressed the go live button because it was just still not sitting right with me. So I'm still processing it myself, but I'm grateful that I at least had that much to share. I could put at least that much into words. And as I do more work, my prayer is that I'll be able to present it to everyone in a helpful way. So yeah, it definitely gave me some work to do. So that's it. That's everything. I've been saying that I'm going to share with y'all what I've been doing. I keep saying I'm going to do that. Real quick, y'all, just give me a few minutes. So I've been having these really intense like periods of anxiety. And so before I go into it, just let me know, like, has anybody else like, your anxiety just been like on 1,000? Like, it's just been like you and anxiety. It's like, it feels like it's mollywopping you right now. Like, just like, raise your hand if you can relate to the anxiety trying to take you down. I've been feeling like every day it's like something just goes on in my head. Actually, it never turns off. That's the real problem. It's like anxiety in my sleep, anxiety in my when I'm awake, just like anxiety, just thoughts, everything going through. And so when I feel anxious, I procrastinate like a mug. Like I push everything off. Like I just like, get out of my face. I don't want to do that. send an email. Now my world's crumbling. Like the small things just send me over the edge. And it's like little things just start to just frustrate me. Like so small. Like it's so little. It's so little. So little. But in my head, I made it the biggest thing in the world. And so I was tired of it. I was tired of it. I was tired of feeling like, oh, like, why does it feel like this anxiety thing is just winning? Especially with all the work I done went through in therapy and all this work I done with soul care. Like, I just feel like I should not be having these problems. Like, I know what to do. I got the steps. So why does it feel like I'm losing this fight? That's how I was feeling. So I started doing this exercise and I call it casting your cares. Okay. So if you are familiar with the scripture where it talks about casting your cares and anxieties onto God because he cares for you, right? Or if you think about the scripture where Jesus says his yoke is easy and his burden is light, like where we don't have to be worried. We don't have to be anxious. Be anxious for nothing. These are all things that are in scripture, right? But in practice, it was like it just felt like elusive. Like I just had to deal with it, right? And so the casting my cares exercise is really simple. I wake up every morning, or at least at some point during my day, I'll stop and for a few minutes, I'll just literally write out everything that has me feeling anxious. Literally everything. And you can see it gets, y'all, it be scribbles. Like it don't even be nothing cute. Like I was stressed this day. Ain't even no divider. Like I just sit there and I just write it out. I just write it out. And so, and it doesn't matter if it's something that's trivial. It doesn't matter if it's something that feels silly. It doesn't matter if it feels like something that is never going to happen. I just write it down. I write it down and I keep going until I feel like I dumped it out. So it literally feels like you just like take my head off for a second and I just dump it out. That's what it feels. And I put it back on and they're gone. Like they're not mine anymore. I gave them to God. You handle that now. And so as I've been doing the exercise, I've been realizing two things. First thing is that I have a lot more patience. I just don't feel things don't get to me as easily. And I feel like the tasks that feel really big or daunting, I just go for it. I just do it. So the hard things, I usually try to do them before like 12. Like that's like the time that I have in my head. Like if I get it done before 12 o'clock, everything else that comes after that is light work. So I've been practicing doing that, and that's been the first benefit. The second thing is that I've noticed that as I write the things out, that they're being taken care of. Like they're being taken care of. And there are things that to me feel small, like, and I'm gonna put her on blast a little bit. I'm putting her on blast a little bit, but in a good way. So one of the things that I wanted was I wanted to have lunch after the podcast interview that I had, or I wanted to have dinner. I wanted to go to an Ethiopian restaurant. I wanted to sit down and I wanted to have dinner. And so I wrote that down as one of the things that I was like thinking about. I was like, I would really like for someone to pay for it. And so I wrote it down, and then I got a text message from a friend. She's in here. And I got a text message from her, and she asked me like, is there anything that you want? And I was like, as a matter of fact, I want to have dinner after this podcast. And then she paid for it. And it was literally something that I had written down. I hadn't talked about it beforehand. I didn't do none of that. I had just wrote it down as this is something that is worrying me, give it to God. And then boom. Like it literally, it everything that I was worried about, everything that was a concern, I mean, going down to like who's going to be home to watch Kyrie, like, is the car going to be available? Like all these different things all these different things all fell into place to make the podcast interview not only possible, but it was like incredible. It was such a good interview. And so I'm seeing how the things they are honestly being taken care of. Like they were going to, honestly, I feel like they were going to happen regardless, but I didn't have to worry about it this time. I wasn't stressing myself out and worrying and sick until it happened. I don't have to do that. It'll work out. It'll work out. And also, I can have peace about it. So I've been doing the exercise every day, and it has been so helpful, and just like shifting my mindset and just not settling for that stuff anymore. Like I'm not finna just let anxiety, drag me up and down the street. Because that was just ridiculous, y'all. It was ridiculous. I'm not gonna let it do that no more. I don't have time for it. My heart can't take it. Literally, like stress is not good for our hearts. I don't want to do that no more. And so, like just taking that action was just a huge step of faith for me. It's a huge step every day to just be like, I'm giving this to you and believing that it's going to be taken care of. Then make sure you get over there. The link is down in the description box. And in the community, we are really building trendsetters. We're giving them a space where they feel safe, where they feel supported and challenged to show up and be visible. So go in there. It's free to get into the Discord. Come on there and get loved on, because we're going to love on you and you'll be great. So I'll put that in the description. No, I'll put that in Discord. I'll like continue the conversation and maybe put a poll up. Or if India, if you could, that would be great. You said TikTok be talking though. Yeah, honestly, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll feel fancy and I'll do 2 in one day. I'll do it a morning one and an evening one or something. But that won't be every day. I'll just pick one day. And then that'll be the day that I do it. That'll be the day. So, and that'll be like for promotional purposes only. So I'll be bringing people back to YouTube because I really want to grow YouTube. So yeah, that's it for real. If you are in the branding cohort, then I'll see y'all tomorrow. And we're going to be talking about our voice. So that's going to be a fun one. You're so welcome, Cardi. I can't wait to have that conversation with y'all and just see, where it's going with discovering what your voice is, what your values are. And this kind of was like a precursor, I guess, because I definitely talked about one of the things that is important for my voice is for people to feel safe. That's important for me. So however I present the information, and that's how I present it. And if it's not extreme enough for you, that's too bad. They're just going to have to be mad at me or go somewhere else, which I will not be offended by. But I am who I am. So yeah, we're going to talk about that. It's going to be a great conversation. And until then, if you're not in the branding cohort, I will see you next Wednesday at 9:30. I love you. Be safe out here in these social media streets, and I'll talk to you later.